some technical parts, nothing too extraordinary, but a few pieces that have come together, and not all, but most of the pieces are now assembled here in the Drepung Meditation and Science Center.
Ani ya tu yuje chunju de mangbu de ko yo ras and the zone manche di tanda nganzo de losling seri tene kha rang to ne rai jo tue jo on de cha de yo res.
But the really fun ingredient is now there's a set of monk scientists who have the know-how, have the understanding of how to do things and how to relate their work to other work and sort of build in a cumulative way the way we do so in science by sort of having it a whole world kind of thing. So this will be a big part of what develops internationally.
Bala aninga zo tinalo ne chik karsogor ing da chik ing sajo do to chesho do chik kharcha gi ore sid sambala tanga zo gindi bigi tsiri ba yor was ta gindi bigi tsiri ba do thedi ani susu gi phege gi ani shimju gi chawal lega che gudi samba kare che imbe ta ani phege la zo lelu le dan shor wa do thedi sama ha khwa sa ma se ani tsiri ba shemba do thedi gi ani leju da chik zong do cha do gi yor wa da andi any chik kone kondo pene any chik le dunye jorwa oda dinde sondo chadu yo res.
And finally you can see here the teamwork that made it possible to just have a first shot at running these experiments and again showing the feasibility, showing that we really have the wherewithal to make exciting progress, and who knows where it's going to go, we'll find out.
Ta dinanola ane nabazu sidi de kare sidi sambala ane ngazu ruka ke nyamne cha de yorwa ada di ane dangong ge takje di da kharse gore chödak sur dangbu dus chine che ane cheba di gi ane ngazu ta di ge zoji da lega de duk thumi yorwa ta duk thua imba yorwa ta khanda yanjo mintune ngazu maungba che cha de yorwa o de cha de yores.
So I just want to briefly highlight how exciting last night was in terms of a breakthrough.
Chezanda dileri sambala ani yang dangu kunda gi nizu di yang chi nganzu kharse gore gawa gomya tona kia an lagbado yang chi khopege nizu ji gi jurim gna lone ya sanye seure da khanda an kombaji poji rugu yorwa o dig devitones nizu shunas.
So as you can see here, Park is having electrodes placed on her face and on her scalp to measure brain activity, and then she was put into a bed and slept with those electrodes being recorded while she slept.
Cheza da nabazu dina si devadi khare pa di mögi ngolia tanda ngazo lone de zukasha yorwa and dongda de zukache and tene moran khare se de samba lone de zutedi tagaran gol gagi ani pege zenchik dostindi kala nye de chade yorwas.
Drawing on Ken's work, then she had a lucid dream and actually communicated with the research team while she was having a lucid dream.
Cheza da dichi garcha gi yore se sambala ani moran pege ne jiken gita takje khanso do takje jenga jodi nyam do cha de gi yorwa dinalo la moran ani chigi tame pege nyewa za maimba ani tame milam lewa che tame lewa za maimba ani ya moran ngone chu date jorwa.
In drawing on Ken's work, this is one of the only times this has ever been done, and definitely the first time this has ever been done in a monastic setting, so this is a big deal.
Takje khana chinge theng tangbu do cha de gi orwas chinang dinde kan theng tangbu che lagwa do ani thawe gi ani kharse gore da chizo kuy dinde na la da chunga theng tangbu do cha gi ores chebadi.
She then made an attempt in the lucid dream to start practicing meditation.
An lagwa do dikhala chig nizu kharre se du sambala mora phige thame milam yumbi kabla ya ani mora ya milam rang na la ani ya chi gomgya bezun che jorwa.
Which, as far as I know, is the first time that's ever been done while brain activity has been recorded.
제자 ngarangi any schedule shishawa imba ina ani level pige dat du chede dulen chigi chigi ya ani gom khala ta ni na lo le de chenge jora peje thing thangbu chagi yesa res.
And so this is really exciting to kind of set the foundation for such a rich collaboration on this topic moving forward. It was a big moment, and we're so grateful to have collaborated with all of you, Sangpo, on making this happen.
Ani tanda di khar chagi yore sidi sambala nganzu danzu nyamle ki ani ta komba pye ki chik shidian ro shorwa o ti so do jik ani kechim bu chagi yores an lagba do ani ngarang zu chama nyamle ki thone ani komba dumbu che gi ani tuzu ne ma son na khar se gore ani kechim bu chagi yores ani tinde imayin sonza ani da an gawi yes gorda
and science is really hard, and so this definitely deserves a round of applause.
Maybe sing it. Okay. Okay. That you move it. You shut up, Sarah.
So now for some more of the practical stuff of the next couple of days.
Ta nganzo khar chagi yore sidi sambala da migil lakdar ngusi dan jebege ani nedwen khashi jik du sineta di dan jebe ni ju de cha de yes.
So for the next 2 days, you're really going to be going from what you created for your presentation, getting feedback from us through Robin, and then working on your proposals.
Ta inju kharre sidi sambala ani number zo khazang anzo tamshi che yorwa su gi nyamshi dan jebe thone and Gen Robinson ani ko lebe nyingo gi chik samzu te ya jorwa o de dulen che te da nyamdo ani chwan zo trecha gi ni shu tri go ya jwa o digan lega che res.
So in the Google Classroom, there's a proposal guide with an example proposal, and we want each group to sort of read through that together.
Cheza da nganzu di Google gin zingang na lo la tanda di treasure ni shu thiye gi ani lamden so to je kande tigu gi me penzun jorwa o di du sine lu sha yes tinde ani ruka su di nyam du ma nge ba do lo sha ro chis.
And then in each group folder last night, Robin and I added some materials.
An taga na shin chi gi en number so ani ruka su gi pige folder tanda nganzu yinzu so ro je o dinalo ya nizu parma khashiji khanyo gebje khashiji lushayu Robin da genla korani dusin lushayus.
So one of the things we added is a proposal template, which is essentially going to help you create the structure for your proposal.
Ani dinalo khanyo gebje ju chi khare sidu sambala thandanga zo proposal gi template sidu sambala da pige thisa gi mapi so do jorwa o da di ani trejani ju thiel ya ani.
You're also going to see that in some of your folders, your group folders, we created folders so that you can start to organize everything that you put in there, because over the course of the year, you're going to collect a lot of research articles, make a lot of documents, and collect a lot of data.
Cheza dile di sambala namba zo susu gi pegel folder hinju jorwa din nalo ani chege nizu du ma nya ani korim da demba ji korim tiya jorwa di yabu che sharo chis karchene lana ani lochig nalo namba so nizu duya na ani 심주 된 데빌 내가 뭐 이게 망부 시비주 루고야 자기 열와 어디 체도 있어.
So you're definitely going to want to create a list of what you need to work on for the next 2 days, and we would like you to be very intentional about everybody contributing to the proposal.
제산다 딜레드 삼발라 넘버 2 양디 아니 가리 제 이메기 양코직 통고에 쇼와 안 통고에 상마임바 아니 양직 넘버 2 참행원에 아니 피겔라 가르시고래 샴데 팀부 유여바지 간다 참메기 피겔 레가 추고에 쇼와 어디 양 개침부 인스.
One thing that every group is going to want to do is to find more scientific literature relevant to your projects.
제자 아니 양 넘버 2 참행원에 아니 다 메기 체데치 가르차되기 요래서도 삼발라 아니 수수기 냠시단 제베기 아니 피겐 시리기 이사그나로라 아니 데비기다 니수도 주는데 망부주 ngo에 조로 안 세리기 사쇼 ngo에 조로와 어디 넘버 2 로야디 차되기 요래스.
And if you find a PDF of a research article, please put it into your group folder, because it's going to be very helpful for your faculty mentors to know what literature you're reading and working with.
제가 딜레드 삼발 단 넘버 수수기 아니 기 차쇼 가르소고 점쇼도 텐데지기 PDF 나로 윤조 텐데 안 넘버 라와 임바이나 아니 인지 민지 수수 카기 폴더 인주저와 디나 루샤로 제 카릴라나 아니 단다 결혼조 람데 롭된 싱이게 겐라 요로 아니 콘줄 부시라 요레스 넘버 카르난기 요메.
And we've tried to give you sort of resources to go from, finding the title of an article to actually finding the actual article. But if you ever run into a problem where you just can't get it from here, please reach out to us, and we should be able to get it through Northwestern or Emory and send it to you.
제자다 딜레드 삼발 디단 제베기 넘버 속에 양 피게 갈서고래. resource pena ane chigi kong tsögoyage yi serigi tsaksho sodaw tinde ya ani suzugi ani tsaksho gi ani karsegore title ngojue jorwa o dozu thede ani karse guyeme andi number zo kisi tse chene marabi ani kangen do thewa yimba ina ani genla quran solan thewa chewa yimba ina genla quran so pige northwest in the ani emory dine chu ani juche lenche andi che choguyorwas.
Over today, mainly, and a little bit tomorrow, each of your groups will meet with Robin to discuss suggestions that we have based on your presentations.
제가 다디 아니 트리제 다가나신기 사니 so 야 루카 수수수 아니 gen robin yamdu tu ne ani injo gen robin gi tanda suzu ruka gi lecha tande betone ani samju shue jorwa leben yengo gi samju shue ondi cha de gi ores.
And we really want to emphasize that through such conversations, once you meet with your faculty mentors, once you try some things, and once you read more of the literature, it's very likely that your experimental designs or even your questions might change slightly.
제가 딜레드 삼발라 나 아니 데냠시 아니 레가체 디체인도 삼발라 아니 세리기 접종 니주다 두주티 로딩도 삼발라 아니 지 용시바지 가르레스도 삼발라 넘버 저기 아니 딱제긴 창고에 다가나신지기 아니 티와이 요르와 냠시기 티와이 요르와 안두주테리 안티스 지긴 주도 도시레스다 간단 주도 데 인티기 요레스.
And one thing that we think is really going to help this process is starting in January, we're going to ask all of the graduate science teachers to meet with their group weekly, in person or over Zoom, depending on where you are, to discuss one scientific paper.
제가 아니 딜리아 비치 갈라고 그래다 겐라 쿠란소 아니 신다 당문 연구주제 아니 조디 단당 가준 세리 겐라 남부소 요르와 아니 군주기 우트비토네 아니 야수수주 데센 루카그나로라 아니 둔다칙스 루카수즈 냠좀 야메나 아니 밍우스 판두체 임바이네레 야메나 타소 타베 타제주네 좀토네 인기 미바이네레 간다 아니 세리기 냠시기 사 조르와 온디치고레스 체구요레스.
So definitely leave here a couple days from now knowing like the first paper that you all want to read and discuss that you feel is really relevant in terms of a method you might want to try or in terms of the topic in general.
제가 딜레드 삼발다 나버저 파 마도용어라 서와 단 세리게 사쇼 텐 당불로에 데 가리 이메디 양코 딱다지 마도용어를 될 하고 와체 락바도 언디나노라 나버저게 니치기 베게 따지기 창구기 탈럼 가리 표주 당기면 대화 유신주저와 딘데긴 쳔베게 아니 안디 사쇼카 당불로야 가리 이메디 아니 반디네 파 마도용어를 하고 와체체 안디 제도나 야보도스.
Okay, so our plan for the rest of the morning is to do about 10 more minutes and then to wish Nicole and Ken and James and Zev off, and then we'll come back and continue working today.
디네마 다 드린 디네 파체 데 가르차 되기 어르스리 삼발라 단동가서 까마 추스직 두시네 디체 디젤리아 아니 겐 카르사 니콜다 아니 켄다 콘주테디 페페두고 여와 아니 콘주 페지슈야 안테네 순좀 체네 아니 루카글 레가 체데.
So what we did here is we're going to create kind of a running list of things for you to consider as you enter this next stage of conducting your research project.
다 디나라 카르레스 디 잠발라 아니 다 넘버 2 다 Nishiki nalone da nyamshi dan trebe di chegu di sambala anti nala kare kare chegu yume chegi ani chik tongu so do shorwa on di chesha yores.
So, as Nicole alluded to, the first thing we'd really encourage you to do is to set up like a week or two of reading articles as your first action item once you return from Bodh
Cheza ani tanjige ani Nicole gi ani sombana shinji ta sombana shinji ta number so ke cheshuji karcha de gyore sidu sambala ani duta re na lo la number so gi nyamshi dan jebegi ani seri gi chomshu re loya jorwa on da di number so doji ne chu pe sadu sambala andi ke chamucha gyores.
So we've done science a little bit differently here because we had a limited amount of time. We started by saying, all right, in the next hour, come up with a research question that you want to conduct, and then, let's generate the methodology, etc. But usually there'll be a period of extended reading and really getting to know the literature before you develop your research topic.
Serigi tandang azu rodan shora tis chik mandawa kala chimbares din rogo jumsen khare residu sambala an ngazu tuju thundun shima de yo mares an tangbone number choki kharse goren serigi thiba de kisho tine ani chik tajin changwe chedang duzu the du cinema shurwas namju junden cheba yimbayina ani dinde ngus mashu ngol ya ani gyabjung gi nisu logo ya serigi dinde nisu mangbu logo ya jorwa chomsho mangbu logo ya jorwa o dinde ani chagi yores.
And so we would encourage you to do this now. So take some time in early January to develop a reading list, read articles together, kind of modify your project ideas as needed, and give yourself permission to take that time. That's often the most fun part of a research project is developing the question.
Chezanda delivery sambala digi ani cherimde an number so tarini and karsor ani tene Trinima dusine chedi dusine cheruchi shuet inju kare sidu sambala an number son seri ge chaksho kare logo yumegi an tongwe juso an tongwe shuet sabe jelia an seri ge chaksho loya de da dundar rene tanji logo lavso an diche tine an seri ge chaksho lowa da nyamdo an ya number so suzuki dingelia karse gore changwe chishin ju duzutelia tis juwa tangu yena an juwa ta yobache an da di jurim di an ching seri nalola karse gore tona leyagi and the compound masone di chadugu yores.
As Nicole alluded to, you may start to want to modify your research question after going deeper into the literature. That's totally fine, but we'd also encourage you to work with your faculty mentor and us to make any of those changes.
Cheza an danji gen Nicole gi kujutam bana shinchi an kharcha de yores de sambala ya na bazon seri ge chasho de mangbu shibji lo che an mi ge ting liman zui che di chen de sambala an na bazon ya phe ge tagju gi changwe da duzu the de yan ching juwa tang gwe de yongure di yong chogu yore digi yores yimba ine ya an na bazo gi ani thinde gi juwa tang be kab le ya ke chimbu ji khare re de sambala an susu ge lobden ba jora da ngazo gen gen ko sha ja sha gi yorwa on duzu the le ya an nyen se shu gwe di ani ya ke chimbu.
You also might notice that as you begin to read the literature, you want to modify your dependent variables.
Ani ya number so chi khari ngore sidu sambala ya ani number so ke phege gi seri ge chomsho tinde ma lo yundu sambala ani ya susu ge tuji gi juchu jorwa ngazo khaza tuji de temi gi juchu mangbu shen ba o tuji gi juchu de ya andan de thumde de khari thungu yime side di cha de gi yorwa ya di ya chi gi juwa tangu gi yebe da tinde the sig res.
And we'd encourage you as much as possible to draw on the literature in defining your dependent variables. And so we definitely encourage you to modify your dependent variables if you start to see research using particular paradigms or measures. That would be really good to do.
Cheza dile de samalaya gela Quran so ki Quran so ya ani karsugore semshu doj ta kanda lobden do chi khari shugu ye lo di sambala an number so yan ching phekin seri ki chamsho du zuma an ting sabsa lo ne lo ba cham ma yimbe lakba do yan ching number so ki tuji gi juchu de khari yime suzu dorwa a tuji gi juche khari khari chagi yeme on dunzu the di yan che ge ha ya buji phege to na ha ko wa che ha ko we jel ya yan number so juwa tang go yimba ina yan juwa tang ne din tigi yo res ta khanda inju ne karsagore ani chigi leke le mangbu jorba on duzu tetlen go yor sigorda.
As one example, in thinking about table 8, you want to look at midline frontal theta. In addition to just looking at midline frontal theta for the various types of meditation, at rest, you also may want to actually expose your participants to a task because midline frontal theta may be very responsive to certain types of paradigms or stimuli. And so if you start to see paradigms that you want to use, talk to us and we can help you implement that.
Tabena chashana kadiri sidi sambala digi tsumbi ruga geba raw chigi pensu shiwa imba ina ruga geba gi tanda ane gom mandra wegi thone dundop ki lebe gi nalola tanda ngazo theta gi lab shungu yuwa o di kala chogu di taya de rawas di ngezu gi nekab taya di chadi gi rawas dinde imba yin songza ya number 2 ma di Chenri ki samsho lo wada tinre ki nekab lo yang chik chena digi ane ngezu ki nekab sa mayimba ani ko yang je phige le lega chene ta khaza nga zo bene semnge te ba sodro juwa o dinde ki sodro je lega te che ani dinde ki kap gi yang ko dindo ki theater ki lab di khande yungu yeme te ba yimba ina die ya gu yo res chidang khari le samba dindo ki theater ki lab di ani phige le miji ki phige le chawalan ju yundu chawada khari ku jen tangi na ro an du thele yang ko lab di selung che shukchen bu yungu yo res.
Another thing I would encourage you to do is to measure your outcomes, meaning your dependent variables, in multiple ways and from multiple perspectives.
Ya number 2 yan chi gi gengi chonan sola kharse ko lamden so do chi in semshu pa so do chi kharin yi sidu sambala ane number 2 gi thumde di ta yu sambala thunde kan chi chi bu ta ma yin ba che ro da di thumde chi yung cho ro ine thumde yan di gi thumde tuji gi ju di thumde cha de gi ro yan di thumde chi gi kha mangbu ji ne ta ya ro o du zu the de yan number 2 gomba she gwa ke chim bu cha gi res.
So for example, there's a lot of projects examining sleep. And you can measure sleep at multiple levels. So you can assess self-reported sleep. You can use actigraphy to examine movement. And you can obviously study the brain to determine the amount of time spent in deep sleep. And if you were to go to publish your research, many journals would want to see you assessing sleep in multiple ways rather than just one way.
Chezan de le sambala da de ruka ding na la mangbuji khari yore se sambala ni khan ya shimju chenge mangbuji tuas ni ga la mangbuji shimju chenge de sambala da dil pen chashana ane ni gi khar se gore ni ma khundu de sambala ya che ni gi pyuse re daga na shin ya ni gi nekab le ya ani chi yonggu re daga na shin tedan tebe ge ya lebe ge ni dan tebe ge lebe chawa chi khar che gi du se jo ro an pen chashana shemba du zu ge khar se gore ta indu sambala ya chi ni di ko kha tumde kha chik zam mai ba kha mangbu shiwiji ni ha ko thuye jo ro tumde ta thuye jo ro o dinzu the ya samnu ko di ke chim bucha gi res.
So, as I like to say, stress test your design, really see if there's certain things you want to add, but you also want to be mindful that you don't want to add so much to your designs that you'll start to fatigue your participants. So it's finding that balance.
Chezan da dile sambala number 2 yan semnge dan tebe ani ya shimju chenge jorwa an dunzu thele yan dikan la khamne ya tinde tumde le yan di yon chogres yimba ina number 2 yan je khamne ya gore sidu sambala yan tumde chi mangsa ne ta gore sidu sambala ya mangbu shiwiji che di sambala phegela ani nyamshu la chashi shenge jorwa ta ji la chashi shenge yan dunzu thele ya chi gi thang chebu shiwiji soye yorwa ta kunye bu shiwiji soye yorwa o tinde ya meba chi tinde tini ni paru gi yan chi tonyambu gi the
last point I'll make before we break to wish our team goodbye is one of your tasks will be to translate your measures that you use into Tibetan.
Chezan da gela number 2 ani pege shue ani thanda ngazo passing masha ngwele ya number 2 shue chi khari yo se sambala ani choran zo ge pege la ani shimju gi kapso da le dwinyi gi yorwa on da dunzu chedi ya inji na lo chibu mai ba phi na lo chu gyure yorwa o di ani ke chimbu cha gi yores phi na gyue de zo de.
And we encourage you to work with the translation team to make sure this is really well done.
Cheza ani yanji phi na jurdi sambala number zu su ge gi jora sa mayimba ya ani chik gela khoran zu khari shugu yesi sambala nga zu jurgi desen jorwa tanda amerik di yorwa ani khunzu theli ya ani ya chiki ya nyensen shune ani da di lega ya ucha sha se mazej patu da kanda ya usu gu jorwa on di chagi yores.
Now, one of the challenges we face is that many of the measures that have been developed to assess emotion, attention, even sleep, have been developed in the United States or in Europe with different cultural reference points.
제자야 간조기 단다디 천제기 아니 유제레 다 천제나 쇼르와 두주테디 조 간조 페나 차샤나 아니 쳔바 아니 셈뇨 테네 일라 쳔바 안 테네 니단 제와 두주테디 차데기 요르바스 안다 두주테디게 천제기 탈람 두주테디 직제나 아리네 아니 천제기 탈람도 사두 체신조 케윤조 직제나 유럽네 케윤조 텐데 인도 잠발라 양 코란조 수수기 리종기 리종단 제베 토네 쇠샤 요르바스 수수기 리종단 제베 토네.
And so some of the wording may not be very familiar to your participants. And so we can work together and work with the translation team to identify ways of tweaking the measures to make sure they're understood by the individuals who will be completing them.
제자들 레디 삼발라다 아니 유지기 표지시에 고야기 아니 베게 양 코란속에 아니 가 직치기 표지 단단 조르와 안 두주테디 코나 리숑 수수기 접중나노디 가르스 슈진레 여바 임바인 송자 직진은 넘버 속에 양지 가르스고레 디 고와 다다 마레바 수드라우직 양 다가나시 직디 규제 파타네 양 수수 가족이 리숑나란 참바 수고야 조르와 안 두주테디 양 넘버 송 가족 트위치네 아니 네 아니 가족디 제초고요레스.
So now what we'll do is we'll take a brief break and wish our team safe travels. And then please don't go too far because then we want to come back here and continue our progress for the day. Class is not dismissed, we're coming back.
And tanang azu pasin tuntuji zo de genla number koranzo di sedi ins. And number zo viji drama shas. And kala ni di sawa de namsa ya zomche and number so ya di suzuki lecha kania and le dunye gugu res.
Okay, so let's wish our team goodbye.
Anzu ta genla number so page shue di ins. Shlo mandro.